get such cool speakers here, and today we have another one. Remember 2 weeks ago when we had, who was here 2 weeks ago? The guy that's cussed at you all the time? You remember him? I do not want that to happen again, please. So if one of you leaves before our speaker is done, I'm making you all pin out again. If one person leaves, and I'm going to be standing at the back. So don't be rude, please. I appreciate it if you would just listen until he's done. He knows to finish before 10:40, okay? Or is it 11:40? 11:40. He knows to do that. So as you all noticed, we started our seminar with pinning in first, because there are just some people that like to come in 10 minutes before the end, and they just like put their pin in and didn't hear a thing. So here I am trying to figure out how to get everybody in here without cheating. So I appreciate you all. If you did not pin in before you came, make sure you do it. And I'll let you know at the very last minute if somebody cheated and walked out. Otherwise, pin out. Okay, our speaker today is a graduate of Cleveland College in LA. Anybody know that school? It's not there anymore. But it was there a long time ago, and lots of docs came out of there. He practiced for 14 years, and then he went into coaching. So remember when we had Dr. Hayden and Dr. Heidi, was it? And they were telling you how it went the first year in practice from a doctor's view? Well, this doctor that we have today is actually a coach. So when you walk out those doors when you graduate and you don't feel comfortable, I'll wait. And you don't feel comfortable because you don't know what you're doing, there are coaches out there. Dr. Russ Rosen is actually a coach and has been one for 23 years. So there are people out there that can help start your practice if you don't know. He's going to tell you all about it. Let's give a nice warm welcome to Dr. Russ Rosen.
Thank you very much. Hey, aloha gang. You can all hear me? Is that true? Okay, a head shake, you can hear me? All right. I'm so excited to be here. You cannot imagine. I moved from Hawaii I was there for 30 years, and I moved here to help take care of the in-laws. And one of the things that I was excited to do is come here and help out at the college. And I started to get a club going in February of 2020. And then there was COVID. And it didn't happen. And apparently, I'm going to be here a few more years. I can't tell you how excited I am to be with you. We're going to talk about the science of yes, how to get people to say it, mean it, and follow through with it. Let me see, is that working? So here's what I know about you. Just starting school, just getting ready to get out of school. Can't wait to get out of school. Yeah? Want to give, do, love, serve. You want to go help people, and hopefully you want to make a lot of money in the process, because that's an indicator of all the people you were able to help. Some of you might be anxious. You might have concerns. One, can I get through this grueling experience here? When I do get out, where am I going to practice? How am I going to practice? What technique am I going to use? Right? All of that, that's all real. But here's what I can tell you. Regardless of where you practice, how you practice, what technique you use, the biggest difference, other than being decent at adjusting, is your certainty and your clarity of your message. Being able to take the message and make it simple so real human beings can understand it, not us. We're buck-tooth inbred chiropractors, right? It's just meeting regular people and getting them to get what it is that you do. Now, I say being a decent chiropractor. The truth of the matter is, there are chiropractors out there, because there's a bell curve, right, that are okay, that are thriving. And there are chiropractors out there that would rock your world. They get their hands on you and it just blows your mind. And they get amazing results and they're dying on the vine. Now, you all have a distinct advantage because you're at this school. At this time, I believe there's 55 schools. I think there's 5, maybe 6. Talking to a buddy of mine in Australia yesterday, I think there's one more now that talks philosophy. I have people come to me 35 years in practice, 40 years in practice, seeing 6, 7, 8 people a day. Their whole life. Never made it. Never made enough to get out of a out of a bad apartment and a yucky car. Dr. Joe just left. I just pulled up in my 23 C8 Corvette. Oh man, what fun. I'm going to Sonoma next week to race. That's what I want for you. I want you to have tremendous, tremendous success. When I'm coaching, I'm always looking at what's between your ears, headspace, belief system, certainty. You get so much of that here, so much more than most every other school. And then there's procedures, systems. How do I do it? So, this is doing 2 at a time. Okay, The E-Myth Revisited. Show of hands. Anybody read that book, The E-Myth Revisited? Michael Gerber, Frank Savinsky. I was his first coaching client. Frank Savinsky has passed since, bless his heart. What they say in that book is 75% of all new businesses will go bankrupt and go under in the first year in the United States. 75% of all businesses will go under in the first year. 85% of franchises will still be in business 5 years down the road. How come? What's the number one business on the planet? The number one business on the planet run by pimply-faced 16 to 17-year-old children who don't care about the business. McDonald's. That's it. And how come? Because they're 5-star Michelin chefs? No, because they have systems. Yeah, because they have systems, Fries, down, button, buzz, pull it out. They have brilliant systems. So in my world, we do headspace, personal growth, how to run a successful business and a dream team, communications, which we're going to talk about today, marketing, flow, and growth. My goal is to shift your consciousness and make you a superhero. That's my goal. My goal is that this shifts your consciousness today. It's a paradigm shift, and nothing is ever the same. My number one value is to underpromise and overdeliver. So that's a lot, right? So I'm asking you, stay present with me, because I truly know after 23 years of coaching and running one of the most successful network practices on the planet, I know what I'm about to tell you can change the trajectory of your life and your career, where you can go give, do, love, and serve, and have an incredible life. So I'm asking you to lean forward with me and pay attention. We're not going to talk about headspace and inspirational stories. That was the wave last week. We're going to talk about very specific communication procedures so you can get your patients to get what you do, want what you offer, and stay, pay, and refer for a lifetime. I want them to get what you do. We're not going to Aikido or wrist lock them. They're going to get it, and they're going to ask you for your services. They're going to beg you that they can bring their family in because they get what you get. That's what we're going to talk about today. Also, my intent is to motivate you to go online. I'll show you a little link at the end. I have a 2-hour free on-demand program where I go into this in way more detail. I only have 45 minutes, right? But in all of these concepts and more, I go into way more detail, and I hope that you'll go check that out. So I was at a seminar. It was a 4-day intensive. Anybody here know Patchen Tempo? Patchen Tempo? Nope. Okay. I was at a 4-day intensive boot camp with him, and it was 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. 4 days in a row. And it just breaks you down, builds you up, incredible experience. Now, I had had a very successful practice, unlike a lot of the people there. I had never really had to do any kind of marketing at all. So I never went out and talked to people about chiropractic. They came to my home. They came to my office. But I committed that I was going to start getting out and letting people know about chiropractic, because Pat said to me, it ain't about you, it's about them. It's about these people out there that don't know about chiropractic. So get off your butt and go talk to people. And I was like, okay. So I put together a program. I did 3 years of a TV show. And on the way home, I'm sitting on a plane, and I happened to overhear this very beautiful young woman, maybe 24 years old, coming back from Italy. And she's an art student. And she's coming home to die. She's coming home to get her things in order. And I break into a sweat. Like, dang it, I have to talk to her. And I'm very uncomfortable. Like, what if it goes bad? I'm sitting right next to her. It's a 5-hour flight, right? So I guess my question to you that we'll start with is, would you have spoken with her? And if so, would you have known what to say? Would you have known how to communicate with this person going home to get her things in order to go ahead and see a chiropractor? We'll move on from there. So I assume you've heard this. If they get it, if they knew what you knew, they would do what you do. You've heard that before? So what is it? Well, here's the problem. There's a gap. The average person out there, we just saw Dr. Dan Murphy, is he amazing? Talk about 93% of people out there think about what when they think of us? Yell it out. Neck pain, back pain, headaches. That's it, right? What we know we can do for them is help them have better lives. Get healthy, stay healthy, and have the best life possible. Well, how do we do that? How do we get them there? And how do we do it in a matter of moments? Literally 5 minutes. How do you do it? I'm going to show you right now. This is a brochure that we use. It is one that I will give you at the end. You can just go ahead to that link and download it. We have the premise, the whole story. And do you have a back problem or a health problem? It's a really great question for people. Is that a back problem or a health problem? Same nerves? Back, same nerves, health. Okay. So when I ask chiropractors, and I've been coaching for 23 years, and when I ask chiropractors on our first call together, I say, tell me about chiropractic. What is chiropractic? And I get one of two things. I get this, or I get a lay lecture. So we have to learn ways to make it simple so the average human being can get it. Now, Dr. Christopher Kent, if you've ever heard of him, came up with this, and it really helped me out. You guys are going to yell this out, okay? The nervous system controls what? Everything. And if you're getting proper nerve supply, you got the best chance of what? Life and healthy, right. And if we're not getting proper nerve supply, that could lead to what? Yeah, death and disease. And if you're not getting proper nerve supply, that irritation, what do we call that? Subluxation. Wow, this is fantastic. You all know this stuff. What are the causes of subluxation? Yeah, 3 T's, stress. Anytime your system can't assess and make appropriate changes, can't handle the stress, we go into a defense physiology. It's an intelligent response. It's innate intelligence, not innate stupidity, right? So if that's going on with you, we can probably help. That is a clean, succinct, easy message that we can talk to somebody about. Can I get a head shake? Yeah? Really simple, really easy. Now, in my world, I want my patients to say, at the end of a 5-minute exam, you guys are in clinic now, you're going, 5-minute exam, you're kidding me. I want them to say this out loud. Doc, this is amazing. I've never heard this before. I understand that I have subluxations here that could not only be affecting my headaches, which is what I came in for, but also my spaciness, dizziness, and sinus problems. My mid-back pain and my indigestion, my low back pain, my constipation, diarrhea, impotence, PMS, whatever. I understand what brought these on in the first place. If I don't get it taken care of, probably not good. If I were to really correct these and learn ways not to recreate them, I can not only feel better, prevent problems in the future, reverse the effects of the aging process, or be healthier than I am right now, and I could have a better life. Subluxations are a health problem. They're not a back problem. By a show of hands, and I can see you, How many of you would like your patients to be able to say that out loud after 5 minutes? Come on, bring them up. Here we go. Good. We're going to do it right now. Okay. For us to do, we need to understand the neuroscience of communications. It's the science behind how to get people to get what it is you're saying. It's the science behind getting people to say yes who want to say yes. Are we trying to get people to say yes who don't want what you offer? No. No, it's a long, miserable life if you're working with people who don't get what you do and don't want what you offer. I'm not trying to, mind meld and make you do something. I'm just trying to get people to get it who want to do it. But here's the deal. You can cause people to say no who wanted to say yes. Has anyone ever heard the book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini? It is, write that down, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. It's the neuroscience of communications. Does tons of different studies. He did a study where he had wait staff come up to a patron. He'd say, can I take your order? And she says, well, I'd like a ham on rye, hold the mayo. And he goes, far out, you'd like a ham on rye with no mayo. And he lost 23% of his tip. 23% of his tip. Over 3,000 people they did this with who said, you'd like a ham on rye with no mayo instead of hold the mayo. Got it? Hold the mayo, bigger tip. With no mayo, smaller tip. How come? Because we're echoing and using their words. Okay? There are things we can do in the way we communicate people, the words we use, the order in which we do things, etc., that can cause people to say no who came in wanting to say yes. Can I get a head shake? You all with me on this? Okay. So let's look at the neuroscience of communications. Brain. Reptilian brain. What's it do for a living? Survival. The 3 F's. Food, fighting, and fornication. That's what it does. It filters all information. Okay? Neocortex. Thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. Limbic system, emotions, belief systems, decision-making. Amygdala, fight or flight. And what do we want to do? We want to get our information past the reptilian brain to the neocortex. For what? Thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. In an average conversation, the average person hears about what percent of the conversation? Anyone, yell it out. 50, 10, it's 25%. In an average conversation, we hear about 25%, okay? What percent would you like your patients to understand? 100%. I guarantee you can have them get 100%, but you need to understand the neuroscience of communications. So we need to get our information past the reptilian brain. 94 to 98% of all information is not making it past there. So I know this never happened to you here. I know this never happened to you here because it's such an amazing school. But when you were in high school, I'll bet you were there, right? Where you're like drooling, just going, dude, the surf is up. What am I doing here? And you hear the teacher going, wah, 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 and that'll be on the test. And you're, what'll be on the test? Shoot. Well, did that information make it to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving? No. But your reptilian brain, survival, said, wake up, that'll be on the test. So do you now have access to all that information that you missed? No, it's gone. It's not there. It didn't make it up there. You with me? So our job is to get their information past our information past the reptilian brain to the neocortex for what? Thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. Say it out loud. Come on, stay with me. Thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. So it'll drop into which part? The limbic system, and that's a new belief system. That's where people go to war for you. That's where you have Rosenites. That's where you have PVAs of 100, 150, 200. They stay with you forever because they believe it and they believe in you. Okay. In our profession, there's a lot of scare tactics out there. I've built my career on care versus scare. Let's empower people. Let's not use scare tactics and use fear. And from a neuroscience and communications perspective, it goes right to the amygdala, shuts everything down, and nothing's going to the neocortex, which we don't want. Do we just love this gal right here? I do. She's amazing. So for the reptilian brain to send information to the neocortex, we need to food, fighting, and fornication, or new, novel, and exciting. And we got to get the reptilian brain's attention and keep its attention. So it is listening and it's sending information to where? The neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. So how do you do it? How do you get the reptilian brain's attention and keep it? Here's the deal. Ready? Y'all with me? You need to quit speaking from your neocortex to their neocortex. That's how we, mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers, sitting in class, it's neocortex to neocortex. We have to learn to speak from our neocortex to their reptilian brain. Do you get that? We're going to speak from our neocortex to their reptilian brain. And Andrew, I don't see my time, and I know they're going to get up and leave if I am not on time. So would you get that thing going, please? All right, so how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to speak to their reptilian brain, and we're not going to educate. How many of you have heard this? You got to tell the story. You got to tell the story. You know, Brother Billy DeMoss, you got to tell the story. And I love Billy, and he and I laugh about this right here. We have to ask the story. We can't tell the story. We can't educate anyone. No one wants to be educated. How do we make it new, novel, and exciting? You make it about them. What's everybody's favorite subject on the planet? Themselves, that's it. So if you draw their story out of them, and you apply your story, what you want to teach them to their story, they're all in. But if you walk in and say, I want to tell you about Dee Dee Palmer and his dog Fluffy. Now, he had a wife named Ruth. Now, he had a long beard and he had a lot of food in it. And they're just drooling like, what about, help me? Right? And let me tell you the story, right? So we're not going to do that. We're going to draw their story out of them, and we're going to apply our story to their story, and that's how we're going to teach them. So we're going to talk about them, we're going to draw their story out of them, and we're going to use Socratic questions. Young lady right here, what's your last name? Mai? M-A-I. Thank you, Mai. Did you already know that? Oh, she already knew that. Okay, that's not a Socratic question. What is a Socratic question? Well, what is a Socratic question is a Socratic question, right? Who, what, why, where, when, how. Why do you think this is going on? Why don't you think this is getting better? What do you think you would need to do to get this resolved? Those are Socratic questions. They cause them to do this. That's what it causes them to do. If you see them doing this, you're in good shape. They literally are sending information past the reptilian brain to the neocortex. And it looks like this. Yeah, you know, Doc, I really do want to get this taken care of. Yeah, you know, Doc, like they literally send it up there. That's what we're looking for. Name of the game, get their attention, keep their attention. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. All right, so we need to apply the blueprint of the neuroscience communications to all of our communications. We're right now going to look at the exam and the report of findings. In the examination, we're going to do something called touch, tell, ask, and teach. Oh boy. We're going to do touch, tell, ask, and teach. Now I know that you may have heard it, I don't know if you've heard it, but you know, when I was in school, don't talk about symptoms. Really? But they're coming in with that going on. So as far as I'm concerned, we're going to touch the chief complaint, unless it's an eyeball or a genital. Don't touch those. But otherwise, we're going to touch chief complaint. We're going to connect it to the spine and nervous system, motor, sensory, autonomic, next area, motor, sensory, autonomic. And then we're going to prove our case. We're going to use this handout, which I'm going to give to you. And this is something called a Merrick chart right here. So this Merrick chart shows motor, sensory, and autonomic in these different areas. Now, I've had thousands now of people start doing this, and I have yet to ever have anyone come back and say that didn't work. Now, most people come in to talk to me and work with me say, I've never heard of this before. I don't think it will work. And I say, try it, see what happens. And everyone comes back and says, oh my God, that's amazing. So I'm asking you to try what it is that we're going to do right now. We're going to use this phrase. Oftentimes, if you have a subluxation causing blank, we'd expect to see blank, and that would make sense because blank. It's a really simple thing. Oftentimes, if you have a subluxation causing these kinds of headaches, we'd expect to see a tender spot there. Is it tender there? Yeah, I think we might have found the underlying cause of your problem. And it would make sense because this nerve literally goes to there. And they go, wow, that makes sense. And oftentimes, if you do have a subluxation causing these kinds of headaches, we might notice spaciness, dizziness, mood swings, brain fog, eyes, ears, nose, throat, sinus issues. Did you ever get any of those? And they go, all the time. How did you know? Well, I'm a chiropractor, and these nerves affect these things. Now, oftentimes, if you do have that, mid-back, gas, bloating, indigestion, heartburn, low back, pain down the leg, right? You understand the neurology. It's easy. And they have this chart right here. They got a pen, and they circle C1. They take ownership of it. They circle headaches. Then you underline any other things, and they're going, shoot, dude, man, I got spaciness, I got brain fog, I got ADD, right? I got stuff coming out my pores, out my butt, I got explosive diarrhea, I got all this stuff going on. How did you know that? Okay, so we're just going to connect those dots. Then we're going to prove our case. Now, oftentimes, if you do have a subluxation causing these kinds of headaches, sinus problems, mid-back pain, indigestion, foregone conclusion, right? If you've got that going on, we might see a limited range of motion. Do me a favor, turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right. Wow, you see how it doesn't want to go to the right? Well, that makes sense. You got that? Well, that makes sense because when you're subluxated, that nerve interference causes your body to go into a defense physiology, and it protects itself, and it gets stuck and tight. Does that feel stuck and tight? Why, yes, it does. Then you must be what? I must be subluxated. I'd agree. Right past the reptilian brain. I am drawing their story out of them, and I am teaching them what I want to teach them through them. You got that? Right past the reptilian brain, and it's like they've known it forever, and I'm just going to agree with them. It's a simple, easy thing that we can do. Then we can ask questions like this. So let me ask you a question. So, prove your case, range of motion, posture, scans, x-rays, just predict on what you expect to see. Again, I go into way more detail in that 2-hour thing that I hope you'll watch. But do you get it so far? Like you can do that? It's a simple thing. Now, what happens if they say no? What if you say, do you ever get any numbness, tingling, pain, weakness down your shoulder, elbow, arm, hand, fingers? Do you ever get anything going down here? And they go, no. What's going to happen? You're going to turn to stone and die. No, I'm kidding. That's not going to happen. You're going to do this. We're all going to practice this. Ready? You're going to go like this. Ready? Huh. Let me hear it. You got it wired. That's easy. Huh. With what I feel going on, I think you're not getting proper nerve supply. I'm going to be doing these scans, and if you see color in those areas, you're probably not getting proper nerve supply. Wouldn't it be far out if that were true and we got this taken care of before you ever had any problems? Wouldn't that be far out? It's simple. I'm telling you, it's so simple. But you got to master it. You got to learn it. I hope you'll go to that program. Now, we can ask questions like, so let me ask you a question. If this subluxation is causing these headaches, and it's also causing your sinus problems, and you get the subluxation taken care of, what do you think would happen to your headaches? And they'll go, right? I think it would get better. I agree. What about your sinus problems? They would get better too? Well, of course. If that's the cause. What would happen if it is causing your headaches, but it's not causing your sinus problems? It has nothing to do with it. You were riding down the road when you were a kid, bee went in your nose, it's still sitting in there, right? It's got nothing to do with the subluxation. Would it help the headaches? Yeah. Would it help the sinus problems? No. Great. Let's do some more tests. It's as simple as that. Now, once we've done that, I need to get them to say it out loud. Okay, when you read Cialdini, the importance of them being able to say it out loud. So what am I not going to do? Anyone? Say it out loud? I'm not going to tell them. Thank you. What am I going to do? You said it. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to ask them. Right? So think of it as a Word document. You spend all this time working with them, typing out a 50-page Word document. I had 1,200 pages. When I left chiropractic and I was going to be coaching, I had 1,200 pages, and it was my first time working with a computer. And it crashed, and I didn't save it. And I had to start over again. which is why I use this right here, because you would hit save. You'd hit save. Well, how you hit save is by asking them appropriate questions. So, the whole story, here's how this goes. Now that we got done with the exam, let me ask you a question. Where are your subluxations? They got the chart right in front of them. They just took a pen and circle line, right? They're going to go there, there, and there. What could they be causing? This and that, this and that, this and that, this and that. What do you think brought them on? Crack cocaine use, sold to the circus, raised by wolves, right? Got hit by a truck. Okay. What do you think happens if you don't get it taken care of? And I'm not trying to scare them. I just want to know what they think. And more often than not, they'll go, that wouldn't be good. And oftentimes they'll say, I think I'll end up dying of a heart attack like my dad. Right? It's so powerful to ask them. Just ask them. So what if we were to correct the subluxations and show you ways to quit recreating them? Not so you can keep banging away. We're going to show you ways to quit recreating them. How do you think you'd feel? Better. What about your future? Have a better future. Could we reverse the effects of the aging process and have you be healthier in 5 years than you are right now? Yeah, I could be healthier than I am right now. So my goal, and I know it's not what you came in for neck pain. My goal is for you to have a better life. That's my commitment to you. You see how quick that is to get them there? Here's my question to you, and I'm going to ask for a head shake on this. Would this be worth mastering? Yeah, this is worth mastering, I promise you. All right. So, by show of hands, how many of you have done a report of findings? Okay, a handful. All right. So I get this all the time where doctors will say to me, how do I get okay with that look? How do I get okay with that look? When I tell them they need 140 visits over a year, and they go, are you nuts? And my answer to you is you never want to get okay with that look. Ever. You just want them to understand why they need 140 visits over a year or whatever it is. If you get stressed before reported findings, another classic issue here. Here's what I can promise you. It's easier to get people to do something they want to do versus something they don't want to do. Now, there's a lot to a report of findings, but here's one thing I promise you. If you find out what they want and show them how to have it, it will be easier than telling them what they have to do. Got that? So this is a chart that I came up with, all my doctors use. Okay. It's called the path to optimal health. -10 is near death. How do we know? You're in hospice care. Thank God that's not you. 0, you feel good, I'm comfortable, you're not functioning at your optimum. All the tests we just did, they're not clear. Optimal health, you're as healthy as you can be. How do we know? All your tests are clear. Here are the things that happen to get you down here. Crack cocaine, sold to a circus, raised by wolves, right? And we just start off and we ask them, where do you think you are? Now, there's a whole process in the consult and the exam, 3 dimensions of stress, blah, 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 where we help them understand, but they got symptoms, so they recognize they're somewhere down here. And then we ask them, where do you want to get to? Do you just want to get feeling better, which is okay, or do they actually want to get healthy and stay healthy and have the best life possible? Now, what I don't want to do is, well, we could do optimal health or Band-Aid, patch it up, temporary care that only a moron would choose, right? I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is, look, I know all the stuff going on in your life. You just want to get feeling better. Far out, it's okay. Or you want to get as healthy as you possibly can. All I need to know is what you want, and I'm going to show you how to get there. It's as simple as that. I just need to find out what you want, and I'll show you how to get there. We also in there, just so you know, we don't just go by symptoms. Like we're looking at symptoms in relationship to all these different categories. But we let them know Uncle Joe never sick a day in his life, goes to the doctor. Doctor does all the tests. On the way home, right? You're healthy. You're 100% healthy. And on the way home, Uncle Joe dies of a what? Was he healthy the day before? No, he wasn't. Unfortunately, yell it out, his first symptom was what? Death. That was his first symptom. He may have heard the concrete, right? But his first symptom was death. So we're going to let them know that we're going to look at all of our tests and how you feel, and we're going to come up with where you're truly, truly at. Then we're going to figure out what you want. And there's very specific languaging that I go through in that other 2-hour thing that I just don't have time for right now. Okay, now, I have shared this 4 times in an audience like this. I've yet to get through without getting very emotional. So I apologize in advance. And I wasn't going to do this because I hate getting emotional in front of people. But I really want to have an impact on you. So I want to share this story with you, okay? I'm standing in line to get on a plane yet again. And a lady comes up to me, and I'm wearing my Chiropractic. Chiropractic keeps the life force flowing. Anyone seen that shirt before? I'm wearing my purple one. I was in the network hippie days, and I was wearing my little baggy goofball pants and that. And this gal comes up to me, and she says, "Excuse me, are you a chiropractor?" And I'm going, "Yeah, I am." And she says, "You may not remember me, but I was sitting on a plane with you 6 months ago. Swear to God." And I go, "Art student, going home to die. You look pretty good. What happened?" Now, I gave her my card. I said, "Give me a call. I'll help you find somebody." Never called. So I figured I didn't do a good job of communicating with her the value of care. So she says, "What happened is, in about a month, I was so sick that they brought in hospice care. And I was laying in bed, dying. And every time I closed my eyes, I could see your eyes. And I could hear you say, 'The power that made the body,' what? There is no other way." So I asked my hospice nurse to look in the yellow pages, back in the day yellow pages, and find me a chiropractor. So they got a wheelchair and they wheeled her in, and the doctor said the exact same thing that you said. "If you are subluxated, I might be able to help. Do I know if you live or not? I don't know. But it seems to me that it would be worth having proper nerve supply regardless. If you live or die, it seems it's worth having proper nerve supply. What do you think?" And she goes, "Yeah, that would be a good thing." So she said, he started adjusting me twice a day, 7 days a week. Twice a day, 7 days a week. Gave me some specific nutrients. Long story short, I'm all better. Gives me a kiss. Goes to her plane. Can I get a yeehaw? Yeehaw. You never know how far-reaching. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. You never know how far-reaching something you've all heard this before, right? I mean, all we did was have a conversation. That's all we did. You just never know how far-reaching it is. But you've got to have clarity. You've got to have certainty. You've got to know how to communicate with people so that they get it. In my practice, we would go about 4 or 5 months without someone signing up for care. And when it happened, my team, we do a morning prayer kind of huddle thing. When it happened, we all look at each other like this. What happened? Like, what happened? Well, clearly it's because of my good looks, right? No, come to a healthcare talk first, walk them through the whole process, By the time they get in, they get it, they want it. Here's my wish for you. My wish for you is that chiropractic gives you as wonderful of a life it has given me. I was saved by a chiropractor when I was 8 years old. I decided that day that's what I was going to do. I would ask you to learn as much as you possibly can in school. By a show of hands, how many of you think school is a gruel? Yeah, man, it's a grind. And you know, people come up here and go, enjoy it now, because when you get out in the real world, it's really rough. Man, I raced 2 weeks ago. I'm racing again next week. Right? Shut up. This is a grind. This is a gruel. I used to work 18 hours a week, surfed 4 days a week when I was living in Maui, seeing lots of folks. Just shut up. This is the gruel. But take the time. Learn. Become a professional. Imagine that you're going to be the best you can possibly be. What would you do? You never know what you're going to need to know. Learn it now. You're never going to be this smart again. Trust me. Right? Like your brain, you know, I talk to some of you guys sometimes and I can see you're like going, you're an old white man. You are speaking, and you guys are just pop, pop, pop. You're able to learn so much so fast. Take the time, learn it. Visit as many successful practices as possible. Be a professional. Give it your all. Pretend that this is a business. Let me ask you this question. When you get out and practice, is that a business? Good question. For my first 6 years in practice, I said no. I'm a healer. I help people heal. I don't run a business. I prided myself when people asked me what my retention was, and I said, I don't know. Do people come to you for a service? Do they pay you for their service? Do you have overhead? It's a business. You want to really help people? You want to help the poor? Don't be one of them. Money is an effect. It's just an effect. It's not a cause. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for you, the person right in front of me. I want to help you. That's it. And because I have helped thousands of people in my life, and I mean thousands of people get better lives, I make a lot of money in the process. And then I get to do what I want to do with that money. Some things are fun for me. Some things are supporting things like this. Yeah? So please treat it as if it were a business. I'm going to ask you to find your truths. Here's what I guarantee you. You, right there, and you're a stud. You shook my hand. I went, oh, man. You will never be as good at being me as I am. Period. Right? I'll never be as good at being you as you are. Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Be your authentic self. Learn from as many people as you possibly can and find your truth. What techniques will you use and why? Good question. Are all techniques made equal? No, they're not. Can everybody do any technique and be brilliant at them? No. Of course not. Some people are great at light force. Some people are great at moving bones. Some people, find your truth. Find what you're good at. Find your passion. Be the best in the world. At the stuff that I do, because I've taken many techniques and I've put it together, I'm the best on the planet. I know that. Period. Right? Now, am I as good as Donnie Epstein at Network? No. Am I as good as George, with QN? No. But man, when I put it all together, I'm the best on the planet. And that's what I hope for you. Be the best on the planet. What kind of volume do you want to do? You want to be high volume? I've been there. You want to do lower volume? I've been there. I coach doctors that spend 2 hours per person, and they save lives. Does anyone know Scott Walker neuro-emotional technique? When I was very sick and I thought I was dying, and this was 23 years ago, I went to Scott and I saw him 8 hours a day for 4 days, $450 an hour. This is 23 years ago. I was his only patient for the week. At the end, for his volume, he got to go 1. He saved my life, right? Find your truth. Find what works for you. Are you going to recommend nutrition? Talk about diet? If so, why? If not, why not? Do you think that's important stuff? Do you have to be the person recommending it? Could you build relationships with other people that send people to you and you send people to them? Yeah. Neuroemotional work, lifestyle advice, all that stuff. Get clear about who you are and what you want to do and how you want to practice. Now, I'm throwing this out there to you guys. That TTA brochure, the science, that 2-hour on-demand program, if you want a consultation with me to help you integrate, obviously, most of you would not start coaching with me at this moment, but if you want to talk with me, just set up a time. I would happily answer questions and help you. Now, if you would like to dive deep on any of these 5 systems, all the different systems we have, I'm happy to help. I live an hour away. I'll probably be here another couple of years before I get to move home to Maui. Right? So talk to your teachers, talk to Dr. Oberstein, have me back if you thought this was valuable. If you would like to have a club, I can drive out, I can help you in any regard to building a practice. Anything. I'll give you all of my knowledge. I'll help you in any way I possibly can. If that interests you, flip me an email and let me know. And if you can get a group of people together, I will come in and I will give you everything I have. Thank you for being who you are. As always, much love and aloha.